Hello, Lighthouse family. We have all been deeply grieved this week by the shooting in Orlando, Florida, which left 49 people dead and over 50 people injured. As a church, we want to express our concern, our sympathy to the families and friends of those who died. These murders centered on the LGBT community, but they are only the latest in a series of mass killings in America motivated by hate. Last June, Black Christians, 9 of them, were murdered in their own church in Charleston, South Carolina. 2012, 6 people were killed in a Sikh temple motivated by hate. And since 2000, many Jews in different places have been targeted in America. Now, there are some at Lighthouse who seemed, we're confused by this evil, and we have questions perhaps. Why would God allow something like this to happen in Orlando? Where is God? Why wouldn't God prevent this? Well, of course, there are no easy answers in all of this, and it is not really the right time to provide such answers. But we can, without question, say this: this tragedy was not God's will. God allows evil empires, evil kingdoms to operate for a time in this world. So God's will is not always done on the planet, but one day evil will go at Christ's return. In the meantime, we've got to keep in mind a number of things. First, God is still with us in the midst of this tragedy. Through grief and through joy, God never leaves us. And secondly, God is still for us. We see Him in many ways through this tragedy, including the outpouring of love and compassion to those who've experienced this tragedy. God is also moved by our tears. Listen, when Jesus walked this earth, He was moved by suffering, and whenever He encountered it. And the Father, who is love, is saddened by these issues. And of course, the Spirit Himself, the Spirit of God, is coming alongside people with grace and compassion to comfort and strengthen them. So how then do we interpret this terrible tragedy in Orlando? We see a number of comments on Facebook and other social media, really, I think, that dishonor God and the victims of the Orlando tragedy. And I want to discourage you from making those kind of comments. What should we say as a church? Well, first, this is not God's wrath. This is an evil act of a broken world. This terrorist shooter had many motivations, perhaps, but one of them was hate. And hate is inconsistent with God, who is love. And secondly, this is not from God. That is, we shouldn't say, well, everything has a reason. Well, as if God planned this. No. Evil is evil. Evil has no reason. Certainly, God can work in the aftermath of evil, but this shooting was not from God. So, what should our response be as believers? Well, here's what it should be. We must forget differences at a time like this. We forget religious, moral, ethnic differences. Each of the people who died were made in God's image. He loved them. He valued them. And what we must do is respond out of our common humanity with love. What if these were our brothers and sisters? What if these were our children? We respond with love and compassion to these victims. It is in fact our responsibility to do that, to mourn with those that mourn, to join with them in their grief, to pray for them. So brothers and sisters, this is a time to demonstrate God's love and grace. Your neighbors, your community, they're watching us as a church. They're watching Christians all around the country. We are called to approach this with a heart of compassion and of love. When the Sikhs were killed, we mourned with them. When the Jews were killed, we mourned with them. Now that members of the LGBT community have suffered such a grave loss. Let us grieve with them as well and join with them in prayer for God's help in the middle of this very difficult tragedy. Let's be the light of Christ in the midst of this darkness. And certainly that will include our prayer and our love, and it may include a number of practical things as God speaks to your heart. Let's be that kind of church, a church that reflects God's love in the midst of a very, very dark tragedy. Thanks for listening, everyone. God bless you.